Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa akin at
It was captured by the microphone. Specifically, what did Alex Eala whispers to Alex Eala, who is crying? That startled the tennis world. The scoreboard showed that the contest was already ended, frozen, and the people of Abu Dhabi, once screaming for over 2 minutes like a jet engine hours, had dimmed into a quiet, agitated hum. At the net, the handshake was quick and custom, the typical indication that the fight was over. Music, however, the moment that everyone is discussing didn't occur under strong lighting or during tossing the coin. It happened in silence in the court's shadows, just as the cameras started to pan away. Music as Filipino superstar Alex Eala, age 20 with her head down, she packed her luggage. Enduring the pain of a quarter-final victory defeat, Ekaterina Alexandrova, Music the player who just disassembled, she leaned near to him. There wasn't gloating, no grandiose festivities. Rather, song she gave a straightforward surprise. Message: you'll be a star in the future. It wasn't loud or intended for publicity, which is exactly why it struck a chord with profoundly. In a sport often recognized for its chilly changing areas and quick departures, those words were comforting and solid. A hand on the shoulder at the precise moment, appropriate time, a silent death of the no one anticipated the torch gesture, yet everyone had to listen. Welcome back to Courtiva Tennis is your go-to source for all the important news on and away from the court. These days, we're not just examining a scoreboard. We're going to dive farther into the game that rocked the 2026, the poignant Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open consequences that caused the internet to tears, as well as the one phrase from a Russian veteran who could support Alex Eala to take over the planet. Music to understand the significance of their remarks. You must comprehend the previous fight. Them. Music the oppressive heat, that there was a noticeable tension. One side of the net, Ekaterina Alexandrova, a 31-year-old giant, stood of the tour who achieved a peak in their career global number 10 position in only a few months earlier. Music known as the Ice Queen, flat is the foundation of her game. Loud ground motions that slide off like stones on water on the court. Strong, accurate, music, and cruel. She is the kind of veteran teenagers are eaten for breakfast. On the Alexandra Eala, the pride of the opposite side, a Rafa Nadal, and a Philippine alumna of the academy who has borne the dreams of a whole group of islands since her junior year. In her own nation, she is not only someone who plays tennis. She's a millions of people watch this national treasure. Each game and evaluating each point, feeling that she is meant to be great. Music, however, the odds in this battle were arranged in opposition to her. Eala was the underdog, a tenacious combatant up against one among the most powerful players in women's tennis. However, this struggle was just that. It prepared the ground for a grit moment, elegance, as well as the potential of the sport's the future. It was put to the story music. Experience, prodigy versus veteran, power versus heart, hunger against hunger. When the match began, when the umpire signaled play, burst into a furious tempo where it seemed like a crime to miss a single ball. Ekaterina Alexandrova made a strong appearance. More hammers on her racket than athletic gear. Just the first game was a tough attrition-based war, reaching 4 deuces, and shortly after that, Eala saw herself gazing at an intimidating 0 deficit of 3. It sounded destined music. Gonna be a blowout. The Queen of Ice was putting out the Filipino fire prior to it may even ignite. However, this is where Alex Eala shown why she should be on the largest phases. She didn't fold or fear. Driven by a boisterous and waving audience, there are Filipino flags everywhere. She started to delve in. Identifying her range, she used her left-handed spin to create a disturbance. The rhythm of Alexandrova's clawed back points, bringing the score down to 1-2. The length of the rallies increased, and the tension thicker, and the underdog began to demonstrate heart's ability to equal power. It was evident how intense it was. Lungs shoes shrieking against the flames, burning hard court as the two ladies engaged in fierce trading baseline strikes. At one time, Ella received between 15 and 40, 2 break points, and the stadium exploded. Music, it was like this. The moment that might be a turning point that may change the momentum. However, the seasoned and unstoppable Alexandrova, after touring for more than 10 years, removed the break points when clutch serving is used and finished the set 6-3. Music, the harsh realities were reflected in the second set. Of tennis professionals, Ella withdrew her claws. Overcome yet another early disadvantage to the three-point level breathing via the throat of the 11th place in the world, although Alexandrova only increased the accuracy by striking lines, with surgical precision and removing once more to win 6-3. On paper, the win came in straight sets. Straightforward victory for the favorite, yet there was no denying Ella's emotional toll. She had pressed atop and given all she had. Tear adversary to the utmost, but walked leaving without anything. As the participants, the handshake was given as they reached the net. Courteous nod from the often stoic Alexandrova. However, what followed melted the affection of admirers everywhere. Came back to her seat, carrying out the lonely procedure for storing rackets, taking hold of her towel, attempting to conceal the disappointment engraved on her youthful face. Tay was maybe the most isolated moment in athletics. Music, the audience, cameras trained, applauding for the victory on the winner, and you alone yourself with your mind. That's when character was broken by Ekaterina Alexandrova. She was not required to. She had the option to wave to the throng and went directly to her interview. Rather, she approached, muttered 5 words to the little Filipina. Simple phrases that conveyed a great deal of weight. You'll be a star in the future. Admirers instantly observed Ella's response. A moment of hesitation, a flash of astonishment, and then her face softened. Support from someone who just you have a special power when you're vanquished. It confirms potential rather than outcomes. Admits difficulty and remarks, I see you belong here. I sensed your strength. During the interview after the game, Alexandrova intensified her compliments, emphasizing Ella's skill and poise. She said about how challenging the game was, how she was certain that Ella would do well, and even recognized the supporters of the young Filipino. It was an excellent example of grace, an experienced person indicating that although she had prevailed in the conflict, the struggle for the Ella and other players have the future. As expected, the internet went nuclear. In a few hours, snippets of the interactions were going around Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter with Filipino supporters, among the most fervent tennis bases, commemorating continuously. Enthusiastic about digital armies of people deluged the comments with affection and admiration, not just for Ella, but additionally, for Alexandrova, acknowledging the pure elegance from a veteran. One best remark stated, "She has a genuine gift when she observes one." Another admirer continued, "Alexandrova typically annihilates opponents and turns to go. Want her to pause and utter the statement, Ella is the real deal." A single instant changed the way the loss was seen. Recall. Rather than headlines when you read, "Ella crashes out of Abu Dhabi," Music, the story turned into, "Ella is hailed by Alexandrova as the future queen," a setback turned into a lesson, turning sorrow into optimism. And why is this really so important? Why invest a whole video into a phrase of 5 words? Given the brutality of women's tennis, a lonely routine of lodging, travel, and pressure. For a young athlete like Ella, who has gained attention since the stakes are really high for children, she isn't only acting selfishly. She is symbolizing a nation that has been famished for a tennis legend. Each defeat seems like every victory is a festival in our national tragedy. Music, having a player in the top 15 who has encountered individuals such as Iga Swiatek and Arya look you in the eye, Sabalenka, and "you're a future star," you say, is confirmation that goes beyond words. Music, it reduces skepticism and silences detractors doubting her stature or ability to serve, and demonstrates that the route she's taking is the correct one. Such acknowledgement from an well-known champion bears a burden no quantity of national or social media hype pride could never produce. Ella had gained the admiration of a person with fought the same conflicts, an individual who understands what it takes to make it through a tour. I saw something unique in the young Filipinos play. However, the fairy tale has its doses of realism. After the feeling elated in Abu Dhabi, a journey to the Qatar Open in Doha, a huge expectations at the WTA 1000 tournament were sky-high, and the supporters were ecstatic. However, the trip is harsh. She faced Teresa in the first round. Another up-and-coming young celebrity is Valentova. Music and Abu Dhabi's enchantment did not persist, and Ella lost in the first round. It was a hard hit, a decline in ranks, a reduction in prize funds, and a glaring reminder that potential is insufficient. It's important to be consistent. However, the words of Alexandrova turned into a shield. Winning is not a prerequisite for becoming a future star. Each and every game today. Music, it signifies possessing the resources to win the major ones tomorrow. The landscape of the WTA is changing. Music, the Helpua, the Old Guard, and the Kvovas are diminishing, and Swiatek and Sabalenka maintains their supremacy, creating a void for the subsequent generation. Will it be the Mara of Russia? Andre Eva's baseline aggression Coco Gauff's Grand Slam game already accomplished? Or might it be Alex Eala, the Manila girl who not willing to give up? She possesses the lineage. Undergoing instruction at the Rafa Nadal Academy with other top-tier experts. And the work ethic is demonstrated in each on the court, run, and swing. Even when defeated 0-3 by Alexandrova, her shots pose a threat to devastation. A forehand, a lefty, down the line like a cannon serve that opponents may find confusing. What time and faith are what she needs right now. The 2026 season is vitally important for Ella's growth, as well as entering the top 50 is already a remarkable accomplishment for a young Filipino athlete. The rise is historic. Not a single female from the Philippines has ever achieved what she has in tennis as a professional. However, remaining it's completely different at the top. Challenge. The change from a player in the top 50 being a top 20 player is more than just ability. Music consistency is key. Performance each and every week, controlling the strain when you're not more the target than the underdog. Everyone is fighting to protect both mental and physical well-being by a season that lasts 11 months worldwide. The group must be strategic regarding planning. Among the most significant errors, young athletes are also saying yes, numerous competitions, pursuing rankings, and burning out while doing it. The tour of the WTA is not a sprint, but a marathon. Playing the number 35 annual events that run the risk of harm, fatigue, and tournament losses in the first round, she ought to be triumphant. The more intelligent method is picking competitions where, when building, deep runs are realistic. During recuperation times, to train without competing. Equally crucial is maintaining the mental side strength of her sport. Tennis is just as much a psychological conflict as opposed to a physical one. It's not always the best players who with the largest or fastest serves the forehands. They are the ones capable of control your feelings and remain composed during a break. In the third set, and carry out their strategy, even when it doesn't seem to be employed. Music athletics, just as important as coaches, are psychologists. Assisting players in breathing at this level under pressure, reset following errors, and continue to believe despite hardship. These abilities are what set apart the good from the great. However, there's also the matter regarding Ella's physical progress. Music, she is still developing at the age of 20, and many players significantly increase the power between 20 and 23 years old, as their bodies completely grow. Even a mere 5 to 10 rise in swiftness of her ground motions without giving up control could help her from a reliable player in the top 50 to a real threat of a Grand Slam. Her service continues to be the main area in need of improvement. In contemporary women's tennis, a susceptible serve can be immediately penalized with the top players aiming for second serves obstinately. The career of Alexandrova teaches important lessons about perseverance. She wasn't a teenage genius, was she? Control the junior Grand Slams or accomplish enormous sponsorships at the age of 16. Music, she progressively rose through the ranks, grinding through the qualifiers and challengers section by piece, failing to place in the top 10 until the age of 28. The majority of players would have given up, believing they'd hit their ceiling, but she continued to have faith, getting better, music, and eventually succeeded. This instructs young athletes that their timelines don't need to coincide with someone else's. The tennis community in the Philippines is breathless anticipation as they watched. The Philippines has produced top-notch boxers, basketball players, and different sports. Music, however, tennis has been a sport that has long been dominated by the elite, needing training and resources amenities that were limited in the nation. That's being broken by Alex Eala. Obstacle, demonstrating that a Filipino can compete at the greatest levels. Each and every when she enters the courtroom, she doesn't only her personal goals, but the dreams of a country. Alexa is carrying more than just her personal goals, as well as the aspirations of children from the Philippines picking up a racket for the first time. It's both a great honor and a great burden. The strain she endures is something tennis players from the traditional powerful nations, such as the United States, European nations, or Russia, might never completely understand. When a nation produces 5 or 10 players among the top 100, the loss is simply a loss. When you're the only one with a whole country's tennis aspirations, each loss feels enhanced, and each triumph is honored as though it were a national holiday. Eala must develop the ability to balance playing for herself while acknowledging the assistance of her nation, a delicate ability that she must become proficient. Music social media makes things even more complicated. Although she actively interacts with her fans, motivating, it also introduces her to critique. Filipino supporters are extremely devoted, but following a difficult defeat, trolls, and there will undoubtedly be hot takes. Individuals who aren't familiar with tennis rackets will examine, evaluate, and critique each make a move. Acquiring the ability to ignore the noise while taking in the affection and assistance is a talent as vital as any on-court method. Acquiring the ability to take in hate is an essential ability for any contemporary sportsman. On-tour mental health is a real problem, and athletes such as Naomi Osaka have helped start an important conversation for Eala. The coaching scenario is equally vital. She needs someone who understands not only tennis technique, but also the particular difficulties she encounters, a coach with some technical expertise, part sports psychologist and part travel companion. Music and tennis, the coach-player relationship is intensely personal. You spend more time with your coach as opposed to spending time with family, sharing your best and worst moments, your fears and dreams. Finding the right fit can feel like finding the right life partner. When it works, it's magic. When it doesn't, it can derail a career. Looking ahead to the rest of 2026, Eala faces crucial decisions about scheduling. While Grand Slams are the ultimate goal at her current ranking, the focus should be on smaller tournaments where she can win matches, build confidence, and prove she belongs at the top level. Capturing a WTA 250 or 500 title would be a massive boost for development, ranking points, and belief. The clay court season could be particularly promising. Music, thanks to countless hours training at the Rafa Nadal Academy, Eala's lefty spin, patience, music, and defensive skills could translate perfectly to the slower, higher bouncing red dirt of Europe, a surface that rewards consistency and strategic point construction. Don't be surprised if her breakthrough tournament comes on clay, where her style could truly shine. Spain, but I'm so excited to be here. Excited. I think it's only normal that with a loss comes disappointment and being upset, but then again, it's another opportunity. Alex, after a terrific year last year, how does it feel to be making your main draw debut with Melbourne? It feels great. I'm super excited. I'm foreign.